HipHopPhilosophy.com radio is definitely proud today to have DJ Slip in the house. It's Compton's most wanted collection and contribution to hip hop and records. It speaks for itself. That's what it was all about, and making records like those records right there. Today, if you see those records, you find those records are priced at least what they was priced at retail when they first came out, or much higher. Who is responsible for that funk, that legendary funk that was on those records? Who is the producer, the production, collaboration, or main person who was just brought that funk to the table?
Well, I give credit to me and myself and Unknown. You know, we both equally, like on the first album, like 50-50 on the albums, and then, you know, as it went on from there, I started taking more of the production chores up. But on the initial project, the first classic album, was about 50-50 me and him on the production.
I grew up on that music right there. To have that many classic albums, like 3 classic albums, not many people could say more than that. You got King T, and then you got Dre. Okay, so what happened to that nucleus of that sound, and where did it go, and where is it at, and is it going to come back? Will it ever, the source of that funk, will it ever be released on the world again?
Well, there's 2 things. First thing, it does exist. There's a CMW album, actually an NOTR album that I made in '92, which was supposed to be the 8's album. And what happened was, after Menace blew up, they wanted us to, the company said, forget sampling, we don't want to pay for the samples. So we ended up doing 8's album with only 1 sample. And then the NOTR album is all the classic CMW album. That was supposed to be the 4th CMW album, ended up being the Niggas on the Run album. So I've got the whole album, and I'll probably release it sometime this year or whenever. Just gotta find a distributor for it. But the classic sound didn't go away. What happened was the company didn't want to pay for the samples. You know, so we do the production, man, but the sample rights and the mechanical license was eating us alive. Man, our budgets were nothing back then compared to nowadays, you know. It just, it's still there. It just wasn't profitable at the time. And then as soon as we quit sampling, you know, a few years later, Puffy and everybody brings sampling back and it blows up, you know, and it's like things go in cycles, man. Things go from, guitars, keyboards, samples back and forth. We just got caught in some politics, but Epic did not want to clear samples anymore. Man, I have to play. What I'll do is I'll bring some next time I come through, and I'll play you some of the NOTR album, which is strictly classic CMW. No, the only thing you might have heard is I put one of the songs on the CMW, the Millennium album, the last CMW album. I put one song that was a hidden track at the very end.
Yeah, I heard it, and I loved that track.
That's from the NOTR album. That's one of the songs that I did.
I had that on tape. The very end. It was like you had to let the tape go all the way to the end. Here.
Yeah, I got like 12, 14 of those with 8 and Chill together on the whole album, man. Let's say it was a CMW album. We did 2 albums at the same time. And then like I said, when Menace blew up, 8 wanted to switch to the more keyboard style, so he switched to that style. And then the NOTR album was all strictly samples and beat chopping and breaks.
I know it's a never-ending mystery and just a question that has no answer, but what happened? Why did 8 give up on the funk and start messing around with the rap beats, the bubblegum beats?
Oh, like I said, man, we figure, okay, first CMW album sold me a couple $100,000. It did okay. You know, at the time our deal was for like $35,000. Orpheus was getting $250,000 for the album, taking, $250 off the top. He was in a effed up deal. So the first few albums, he wasn't getting paid. Nobody was getting paid. We were making enough money to basically go back in the lab and do another album. And so when he got on the Menace soundtrack and that blew up and they said, okay, we're going to do a solo project on You Like This, that was his chance to make some money because he didn't have to clear. Only sample we cleared was all for the money. And that was from the NOTR album too. That was the other sample beat that was one of the last beats from the CMW album that never came out. So we just put that on because we knew it was a hot track. We put that's Niggas on the Run. Yeah, so that's the album that it never dropped, but it's the
4th CMW album that never came out?
4th CMW album that never came out.
Will there be a 5th?
It just depends, man. It's like that at the time we were doing stuff, I would make tracks, we just sample, kick it, like how your setup is here with the records and the shit and a couple of Hennessy and a little bud, that's how our setup was. So it was real like a family situation. So everybody fell through, and we would just make beats, and they would rap all day back and forth. Then when people get the money and the cars and move out to different states and all the little drama to go on, you break up that that whole that whole how the vibe, the chemistry's broke up. You know what I'm saying? And then for me, I have to do 2 different albums. I'm doing one album which is a style of, which is the hip hop. Then I also have to get with Z, and then we have to do the more radio friendly, lighter, no sample, And then what happens is the Music to Drive-By album went about gold almost, and then the new album sold like 800,000. So we go from like 400-something thousand to 800-something thousand units. So eight's like, I'm not doing that, no more. His man Mike T gets shot, so Mike's not really in the crew no more. He's recovering, so there's no scratching on that album. I mean, there's a whole list of things that happened in order that made him completely switch over to that style. It was easier for him to get paid doing it. And then, getting with Z, it was easier for him to make tracks. He could just say, okay, play me this, I'll put a little drum track on it, and then, I don't clear any samples or nothing.
We just old school. All we see is like CMW albums, just like the Gangstar albums, just like the Public Enemy albums, just like the BDP albums on our shelf. Those records will sell forever. That's what it's all about. Not the records that are sitting in the bargain bin now, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about records that will sell forever. Timeless classic records like the Compton Most Wanted albums. Recording 5, 6, 7 of those. Gangstar is cool for the rest of their life. I don't think they really gotta worry too much. They might not be as paid as Jay-Z. Better to not have to worry about anything like that, and just make albums that people will dig for forever, And CMW is one of the greatest examples of that. The whole legacy is just godly in hip hop.
But see, the problem also is we were kind of on the wrong coast, because we would leave. We were out here and we think that we would get treated in LA like, as far as the radio, like we didn't exist, and then we would go to Chicago or Cleveland or to Texas or down south, whatever, and people were looking at us like we NWA or something. So it was really a night and day for us that we never really got the support here on the West Coast. And you figure for 8, as an MC, he never really got shown love until he did the movie and the other stuff. So, as far as being we figure our style was always different from everybody else that was out here.
Being the best in LA and People on the Stairs is a great modern day version of what you guys was to LA. Never get the respect you deserve, you know what I'm saying? And it changes them sometimes in a negative way. People on the Stairs released 5 classic albums since 1998, and they're finally getting the respect they deserve in LA, and thank goodness they still have maintained strong in their funk relationship. It's just a standard you guys set, you know what I'm saying? The standard the CMW set, and it meant so much. Like, so many artists, everything is judged against what you guys did. Hopefully someday we'll continue that legacy of putting out records that people like us who have been doing this since the 70s will keep digging for, because that's the shit.
Like I said, it's hard. The way that our deal was structured back then, we never could have made any money doing it. Because we had too many people. We had 3 or 4 middlemen getting the budget before we got it, and then we always cleared our samples. And then that's another thing made me be more creative, is that once we started paying $500 and $7,500, $12,000 for a loop, I said, well, I got to chop this into itty bitty pieces so they don't know where's it coming from. So it made you be more creative in doing it. But like I said, just the market and in the times, it made a switch. Everybody else was switching, and it wasn't. If we were on the East Coast, it's like Gangstar got to be Gangstar longer. Before they had to do like and even when they did their radio version with Casey and JoJo, it was still a Gangstar track. It wasn't, they didn't have to switch up them to get radio play when we did. We figured hardly anybody from in LA gets, really props or radio play that's doing hip hop. And that's just a shame. That's how it was.
It seems like a humongous movement of people who haven't yet made those kind of records to hide the artists who are making those records in LA. Saying like they don't want the artists who are making those records in LA to get the respect they deserve. They're all playing the game against these artists, and that's really the wackest part about it, I know all these artists. I've met you. I've met every artist that I've ever looked up to almost in LA, but I never tried to make a record with them. Even though I can rap as good as almost better than 95% of these kids out here trying to make these records, trying to collaborate with artists such as yourself. It's not about me, it's about the funk. It's about helping and contributing to the evolution of the funk, helping other artists make better records, and helping other artists who can make those records see that it's really not about all that going for the money thing. It's really all about making classic records like Compton Most Wanted made, to keep those artists and those records to get alive forever. And word, that's that's what brings you and me across each other's paths in the community. Eventually something led us together one day, and it's the funk. It ain't about that hip hop, what do they call hip hop? It ain't about what they call rap, and it's just the funk, the soul music.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, but the thing is, like, I've always collaborated with different artists in different genres. Like, you know, Fat Jack's my boy. We went to preschool with that cat. So when he was doing the Ab thing, I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do you a couple of tracks. And if you listen to the tracks I do for Ab or for other people, it's not like what we were doing at the time. So, you know, I'm doing Menace for 8, and I'm doing Abstract. I'm doing him left-hand side. So it's just, yeah. That's how, you know, so I'm saying that I like doing it. You know, for me, I would do it, you know, all the time. But what happens is people try to pigeonhole you, and they expect you to do, okay, well, I want this sound here from this person. And you're like, okay, I'll give you that, you know, because that's paying the rent. But in the meantime, you know, me, I save every disc ever has. I mean, it is just beats just sitting up, just of that style. But like I said, and it's just until now where I can finally say, okay, with the credibility I have, I can go to certain cats and slide on some tracks. Okay, I'm doing an album. Here's a beat. I'm doing some hip hop. I need this kind of verse from you. I need this from you. You know, and people respect me enough to trust me to do it without having to worry about, okay, I need a radio track or I need a club track. No, I just need you to, you know, rap on a hot track.
DJ Slip, what is your relationship to Uncle Jam's Army?
Well, back in the day, we were young. We used to go to the parties, and then as I got older, we were DJing. I talked to my pops. I always spent all my money when I was working.
Years.
Just years, like 80, 85, man. And then I ended up leaving college to be a DJ, and would spend all my cash on turntables and speakers. So my pops believed in me, loaned me like $30,000, and I bought the system out for music people who were the sound providers for Uncle Jam. So, like I guess 85, 86, we ended up being the sound reinforcement and live shows, stage people for Uncle Jam's armies. So, you know, wherever they went, we were the sound people for them.
What were you saying about the penthouse, something?
About what?
Saying about something about a penthouse or something?
Oh no, the penthouse on Crenshaw back when Uncle Jam's first started. This has got to be, 81. I was in high school. It was like 81, 82. This was before they were doing sports arena and all that stuff. We used to go up there and watch Egypt and them spin back in the day, man. So, you know, I was always going there, and then it ended up, before they end up shutting us down shop, ended up being the sound person for them. You know.
Word, yeah. I remember they used to get down, play all that old Let's Jam, Radioactive, all that popping breakdancing, electro funk. You know what I'm saying? That's what I grew up on. Legendary DJ Slip in the place to be.
You're now tuned in to HipHopPhilosophy.com radio.